All right, so we got a big show for you guys today.
Big.
Big. There's a few things that I want to talk about. Number one, if you saw recent articles, there's a lot of people talking about millennials and just the younger generations that they might be putting off their weddings in order to save up for a down payment. So I wanted to get your feedback on that. You wanted to chat
You never
a little.
told me that was going to be a topic today. Now I'm completely unprepared.
That's what makes a good podcast, my friend.
All right.
You want to get right into that?
I do. I have something to say about that.
So the premise of the article is basically that, younger generations can't afford a down payment on the house and to get married. Weddings, there was a stat in the article that the average cost of a wedding right now is about $46,000. And first-time homebuyers or a new couple are wanting to look at options now to defer their wedding and purchase a home instead.
You don't have to defer it, because deferring still means you're spending $40,000 to $50,000 at some point.
It's true.
So just make smarter decisions. Alicia and I got married. Okay, ring, which I think costs $6,000. The rest of
You
it,
cheap prick.
no, it's a very, very nice ring. So ring, dress, an entire wedding. So we did a destination wedding, $10,000. We had 32 people there. $10,000 out of pocket for everything. I had a custom tailored suit made.
So the challenge is so I've been to several destination weddings now.
Yes.
Yours included.
Right.
And they're nice. They, they give the flexibility of people doing their own thing on certain days and actually getting a vacation out of it, attending the wedding, making like the whole day is wedding stuff, but it's nice. There's activities, there's nice dinner, dancing by the beach, whatever, right? Beautiful. The challenge is, was there anybody that, using your wedding as an example, was there anybody
Yes, I know what you're going to say.
attend?
Absolutely. My grandmother, and I would have loved for her to be there, but she's not worth $40,000 fucking dollars, and she wasn't fronting the money. So
May she rest in peace.
May she rest in peace. Love her to death. But that's the sacrifice you make. Like, people are spending so much money to appease their family and keep with tradition, and they're just putting themselves into so much debt.
See, now, is this a guy's perspective, though? Or because a lot of women
It's a sensible perspective. So if you have the money, go to town.
Right.
If mom and dad are paying for it, spend every fucking penny they're giving you.
Right.
But if it's out of your pocket and you're not loaded, reconsider what you're doing.
So, and this is what the article kind of discussed, and I've had this discussion with several of our, engaged couples and trying to buy a home and all of that, and they really are second guessing, because a wedding is a party. It's a party. You're throwing a party for your friends and family.
Yeah.
And you're uniting each other and starting your family on paper, I guess. $46,000 is the average cost of a wedding right now in the GTA, or what the average spend is on a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends and clients that I know that they have spent, close to that six-figure mark on their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And then they forever try and catch up to.
It's like school debt. It's like a school loan. Same idea. People just get in over their head. So with a destination wedding, you have different options. So it's not legally binding getting married there. So you have to bring something back, get it translated, Or you get married here with an officiant before you go, and the ceremony there is more of a formality for people. So that's what we did. So we got married at Alicia's family's cottage on the dock, and my older brother was there, and my sister-in-law, and they made it very nice. They made some nice bouquets and stuff, and she's a photographer, so we got some nice photos. So that was nice. They were there to witness the event, and the officiant was like less than $200. I just think weddings are overrated. So realistically, like that in itself would be sufficient for me. Like I don't need to please everybody else. That's what people are doing. They're trying to outdo their friends or outdo, their brother or their sister's wedding and make theirs the memorable one at the expense of being just sinking in debt. So
you agree, sounds like you agree with, in this case, this article that is saying millennials now might be deferring.
Well, I'm saying don't defer. Fucking get married. Go to town hall. Go elope. Have a small
You're
destination
so
wedding.
This is the romantic side of
That's
Adrian.
more romantic because it's more about you and your spouse and less about everybody else. Like fuck the rest of them. Let's just go get married.
We should have had Jen come in on this.
Well,
she's getting married in June.
I think she's already 70 grand in. I'm joking.
She's making some calls right now.
She's sweating.
Yeah. She's got like 300 people going to her wedding or something
crazy.
ridiculous.
I hope she has a good time.
On that note.
No. Yeah. Good friends of mine, they went to City Hall.
So here's the thing. If you do not currently own a home, you're starting a family, it might be your first home, your first time home buyer, you got to look at all of the areas you're spending. Whether it's your wedding, a vacation, some people go on elaborate vacations. You go to Hawaii for 2 weeks and you spend 10 grand on a couple vacation. Maybe you cut back that honeymoon. Maybe you do a destination wedding and combine it where it doesn't cost you as much money. I don't know, but the younger generation, millennials, the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings even that don't currently own a home, have got to figure out where do we spend less money. We've talked about this before. Spend less, make more, side hustle, go to garage sales and flip shit. I don't know, but you got to cut back your costs a little bit in certain areas, and spending $46,000 on a wedding when really that's your down payment for the average home in the GTA.
It's more.
That's
really
debatable, but yes, if you're putting 5 to 10% down,
Well,
you can get away with it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's
you could buy a car and put a down payment on a house.
Now that might be a bit of a stretch, but
no, $46,000.
So I'd love to hear the input of those that are planning a wedding, getting married, have gotten married, don't own a home. Let's hear this feedback because
I'd like to know people that have been through it and have spent the money on it. And looking back at it, really, do you think it was worth it?
Yeah, do you regret
And I'm
it?
talking
Is there
about
anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I'm talking about people that paid on their own dime for the wedding,
right?
And not people.
And from a financial perspective,
right? Like I think most people spending that's like their annual income. So I'd like to know how they feel about it. And then on the other side, people that have gone other options, would they ever consider redoing it? I don't mean like leaving your spouse and remarrying. I mean, if you could rewind.
Divorce lawyers cost a whole lot of money, buddy. That's a whole other topic.
Yeah. So like I would have, if I were to redo it, I would change nothing.
But that's like, we talk about school. I think school is, suitable for some people. But I have a whole lot of friends that are maybe have just finished or are still paying back their college and university debt.
Mm-hmm.
They are struggling to get jobs that are paying them above average income.
Well, when I dropped out of college, so my story with college was I did one semester, and then my second semester, I wasn't really feeling it, and I knew I wasn't meant to be there. So I was sitting in a lecture hall during an exam, English exam. I'm like, I don't fucking write essays, so I had to write this big essay. I'm like, I just don't write essays. This isn't me. I don't have any interest in it. And so I left. I took the blank exam. I walked down to the front. I handed it in. And she's like, "Oh my God, if you don't do this, you're gonna fail." I'm like, yeah, I know, that's okay, I'm done. So I left. And within a couple of years, in car sales at the time, before most of my other, my friends that were still in school, I was making more than them before they got out than they're still making today.
Yeah.
So for some people, it's good. Like professionals, like obviously engineers and doctors and
Yeah, you want to be a
pilots
lawyer.
and lawyers. Yeah. You have no choice.
Yeah.
And then there's professional students that just, that's all they do is go to school.
Yeah, learn languages.
Yeah.
And still struggle to, I mean, whatever floats your boat, but is that expense, like there is an, that expense that in time too, right? Like you spend 4 years of your time in college,
Mm-hmm.
you owe whatever, $100,000 by the time you're done, or whatever that number is, I don't know. Better start saving for our kids, huh? And then what about the opportunity cost?
Right.
There is that opportunity cost that people don't talk about. Like in that 4 years, not only are you in debt 40, 50, 100 grand, but what if you were making 40, 50, 100 grand during those 4 years?
Right.
So in your point, when you were in sales, automotive sales, you were making 70, 80, 100 grand. So over that 4 years, you probably made $250,000.
Plus not spent.
And then, you don't have that 40, 50, 100 grand debt.
The spread is huge.
You're talking about $350,000. You want to buy a fucking house? Just drop out of school. Get a job.
Well, Gary Vee says it. He's a big advocate of that too. And he said it well. Like some people say, oh, it's for the experience. Like take 20,000 of that and go travel the world for a year.
Right.
Right. Just that's a better experience. That's life experience. And spend those few years just dabbling in different things to figure out what you want to do. The vast majority of people that leave school get into things that are completely unrelated. So
trending topic right now is millennials cutting back costs on weddings. We're talking about cutting back costs on school potentially, to advance your real estate dreams, which
or anything
has been proven
whatever
to be
investment.
a great investment. Yeah. So you wanted to chat about a couple of things as well today.
Oh yeah, just it feels like beating a dead horse. Is that the right metaphor?
Depends what you want to beat.
Okay. Well, so we've talked about this often. So open houses. We're big advocates. Okay, sorry. It's related to open houses, but it has more to do with people that are out doing things on their own without bringing their real estate agent involved in the process earlier. And so last weekend, we sold one of our properties. That's sold conditionally. We received an offer, trying to think of the dates, whatever, we'll say Thursday night. Okay, on Thursday night, we got an offer. So as soon as I got that offer, I called every single person that had come through. We had over 60 showings, plus people that signed in during open houses. So I call everybody, text, email, send pigeon carriers, like whatever it takes. We reach out to make sure we've done our due diligence to inform everybody.
Pigeon carriers, the new Uber.
Whatever it takes, man. So for two reasons. One, we want to make sure everybody has a fair opportunity to buy the house if they want to. And two, we want to get as much money as we can for our clients. So it makes sense to do that. So I did that, managed to get 2 more offers. So we had 3 offers. Now we're in multiple offer situation. A day and a half almost goes by. So that was Thursday. So now let's just say this is Saturday morning now. Okay, so lots of time has passed. We've got these 3 offers total, and we sold the house conditionally that morning. About 8 hours later, in the evening, I get an email from some random real estate agent. He sends me an offer. I haven't ever spoken with him. He never attempted to call me before he sent the offer. He hasn't shown the house. So I'm like, what the hell? The first thing I thought, I was like, oh shit, did I forget to message somebody? So I dug through all my notes, and he hadn't shown the house. So I call him, and I find out that his client came through an open house, didn't leave any contact info, so we couldn't follow up with them. And they called him that morning and said they'd like to put an offer. First of all, they should have told him that they were looking a long time ago. And he should have called me that morning, and he may still have had an opportunity. But he didn't. Like, it's crazy. They just sends an offer without calling.
So I had a...
Hang on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then about an hour later, I get a phone call from another realtor. This one, she was professional. She actually called me before doing anything. So she called me and asked what the status of the house was. She wanted to book a showing, which would have been a second visit for her clients. Her clients came through an open house the weekend before, and they loved the house. They want to see it again, and then likely put an offer on the house. So I had to let her down, unfortunately, let her know the house is sold conditionally that same morning. But same situation was her clients should have informed her that they were actively looking so she could be more involved. Because if we have a record of anyone with any degree of interest in the home, we will inform them.
So this is a great realtor tip as a whole, but a similar situation happened, was it last weekend or the weekend before? And this happens on a regular basis. Even when the realtor attends the open house, sometimes they don't leave a card or they don't express interest. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is a lot of realtors will take their clients through during open house times and not schedule a showing. Right. And that's a big mistake. So at one of my last open houses, the agent came through and I said, were you a scheduled showing for this afternoon? And he said, no, we saw you're having an open house, so we decided just to come during the open house. Well, here's the thing. If he would have booked the showing, he would be up to date on all of the offers that come in. So if that client is interested in that property, that they would have immediate notification of it. So don't just go to open houses and, fly under the radar, because there's two good examples of people that lost out on a potential dream home of theirs that...
Yeah. And what's also annoying is when realtors come through open houses and don't actually introduce themselves as a realtor.
You want to start getting me heated? Let's talk about that. Realtors that come in through the open house and literally just hand out their card like this without shaking hand, introducing, hi, my name is, nothing, walk around like a miserable fuck.
That's bad, but I mean literally, I've had plenty of people come in and engage with me in conversation, and no matter what questions I asked, it's almost like they were avoiding telling me that they were real estate agents.
All right.
It's like, dude, there's 3 other people walking around. I've been with you for 20 minutes. Why wouldn't you start off that way?
Yeah. You walk into the house, hi, my name is.
Absolutely.
I'm with XYZ Brokerage.
Yeah.
We should start compiling a list of all of these realtor tips.
Yeah.
And make a specific...
I have no interest in helping them.
Well, I do.
I don't. I feel like every real estate agent is competition, and I hate them.
Did you know the new stat just came out? There's 76,000 realtors in Ontario.
Wow.
There's only 12 in Northwest Territories. Maybe we should start
relocate.
doing business up there. Was there anything else on the agenda? So, good tip for people looking at open houses and realtors that representing people.
You wanted to talk about home inspections.
So, a lot of people don't know. It doesn't actually take much to be certified as a home inspector. So there's definitely...
Well, it doesn't take much to be certified as a realtor either.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you see some of the realtors out there that really shouldn't have gotten their license, but they get their license.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of home inspectors out there just the same. And I see the difference when other realtors are bringing in their home inspectors, or their buyers are bringing in their home inspectors.
Yeah.
And the reports and what they do. But I think a lot of people don't know what exactly happens at a home inspection. What does a home inspector look for? And then what, as a home seller, what can you do in preparation of, or in anticipation of having that home inspection completed on your home? by the
Right.
potential buyers. So that's what I wanted to kind of chat about. Do you have any tips for sellers or for buyers?
I think a big one that I know I don't do, and I suspect from working with so many homeowners, obviously, that and knowing that they don't do it, is looking in the attic.
Yeah. Well, I posted a Insta story yesterday or the day before. During the winter months, especially when you have rain, a lot of high winds, snow, snow that accumulates and then melts.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great time to pop your head into the attic and just see what's happening up there. Are there any rodents? Like rodents love to hide up there, especially in the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any leaks, any moisture, any mold? What's happening up there? I go up there probably 2 or 3 times a year, just to have a quick peek. You know, you never know what's going on in your attic, so that's a good point.
Yeah. Some of the big things I've found in attics are often insulation is covering soffits, so the lack of airflow, which over time causes mold. It's an easy thing to fix if you catch it early. Whereas if you don't, mold in itself isn't often a big deal, but it's a lot more work to remedy after the fact than it is to prevent it.
Well, I can tell you it's a big deal to the buyer if their home inspector pops their head up into the attic and says, hey,
100%.
there's mold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
They've
luck
got-
keeping that deal together.
Or they have huge negotiating leverage, right?
Right.
Even though I think the perception of mold is worse than the reality of it in most cases.
Yeah.
But as soon as you say mold, I think you have tons of leverage.
Can easily be remedied.
Yeah,
We had a shit ton of mold at the cottage.
yeah,
You find it, you know, especially in moisture, moisture wicking areas,
yeah.
or areas that are more susceptible to less breathing.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, there's some houses we found where the bathroom vent had come disconnected.
Yep.
So every
It's
time you're
venting
running
into the
the
attic.
vent, when you've got your shower going, you're pushing all that moisture into the
That
attic.
actually happens. Surprisingly, that happens a lot.
You know what was really weird in my house once? My last house in Oakville, the townhouse. We were, Alicia was home by herself and she was having a shower. And she gets out of the shower and the attic hatch was open. It was one of those ones where you've got this big enclosure, like maybe a 12 to 18 inch enclosure, and this styrofoam board more or less that keeps
Yep.
the lid down. So the entire lid was pushed up like 18 inches and slid over and sitting on top of the box.
Sorry about that. I should have replaced it.
So it was just creepy as anything. So she called the police.
Oh, I think I remember this.
Yeah, and she was worried that like, why the hell is that? How does that happen? So the police came, pulls out his gun, goes up the stairs, up the ladder, peeks his head in the attic, nothing there. Happened again like a week later. And it was just my story about attics.
So how was it happening?
We believe it was just air pressure. The way the air was flowing through, it created suction and pulled the lid up.
Wow.
Yeah, random.
So the other thing people should do to prepare for home inspections is actually getting the servicing done on the furnace, like the HVAC components.
Yeah.
Shows people that you have properly maintained the home. Make sure your air filter has been changed in the furnace. Those are musts.
Yeah. Simple things you can do, just make sure that there's no leaks under, in the vanities, bathroom vanities, and the kitchen counter underneath the sink. It's an easy thing to fix.
And make sure everything's accessible for the home inspector. Pull things away from the walls in the basement if possible to, you're not covering anything up. There aren't any cracks or leaks in your foundation.
Test your sump pump
Test your sump pump.
if you have one. And cracks, basement cracks, foundation cracks, that's another thing that's, I think, overrated, or people get really can get really concerned about it, perhaps especially like a first-time home buyer. They're usually pretty easy to fix.
I had one in our basement. It was pretty big.
Yeah.
But I wanted to obviously get it corrected before we finished the basement. And there's a couple of great systems right now, but the epoxy fill for those cracks does a great job.
Yeah.
Fills it up. You're talking $400 to $500 a crack. Are you smirking because I said
Filling
way
the
I said
crack.
fill in the crack?
Fill in
Yeah,
the crack.
okay.
Yeah.
So on the other side with the home inspectors, you have any tips to picking a good home inspector? I think you got to
How do you?
due
I mean, how do
diligence.
you? How do you? I mean, I would say hopefully rely on your realtor.
Yep. If you've
Um,
got a good realtor, most of them will have a good home
yeah,
inspector.
we've gone
too.
through various ones and kind of filtered through, and we have a small selection of people that we typically go to. I think one thing that's nice in the people we're using now that the other ones didn't always offer was things like the infrared cameras,
a lot more technology
moisture
available
meters.
now. Yep.
Yeah, having the technology, especially if you have a finished basement, infrared can potentially help you detect an existing crack that you may not otherwise know about until maybe it's
Or
too late.
moisture.
Yeah, or moisture.
Yep.
So things like that are good. You want somebody that has the right tools, somebody that's going to be diligent enough to be able to actually get up and look on the roof, whether it's physically, which most people don't do, but a lot of people now will have that really long extending pole with the camera on it. I've heard of people using drones. And then there's some others that don't do as good of a job, and they just walk, well, and maybe not as thorough, but they might walk like 50 yards back and get their binoculars out. So they might miss something versus somebody that's getting right in there.
Yeah. And now, like Home Stars, you get a lot of reviews, Google reviews. So get reviews, get potentially referrals from people that have used home inspectors and have had good experiences. But again, a good realtor will have a good home inspector or two that they can recommend.
Yeah.
You shouldn't always rely on that, though, because...
Oh, you never know. Maybe they're getting compensated for the referral.
Yeah, I mean, our policy is any referrals on to our team like that we take or give out, there's no compensation for anybody. We don't accept any. But there are a lot of realtors out there that, they'll get a kickback of X amount of dollars from their painter or from their home inspector or whatever.
Yeah. That's very common in the mortgage industry.
Yeah. Legally, those have to be disclosed, by the way. So if you're buying or selling and your realtor is getting a kickback of some kind, they have to legally disclose that to you.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're chatting about a lot of different things today.
I think that's it. What episode is this? 12. Episode 12, KT Confidential.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in.